and it's horrible that they're going to cause $16 million of damage to the Washington Street. That's not the real disgrace. The real disgrace is we should have a chance where we honor all of the great things that all of the soldiers in history have done. And I got to look at this fat shit. So that's what really pisses me off.
James, the big story, of course, is Los Angeles. The largely peaceful demonstrations against ICE, which has intimidated neighborhoods, restaurants, even schools. Trump used it as a pretext to federalize the National Guard, send in the Marines. He only has one purpose here. He wants to inflame tensions, violence, and his fondest dreams, a race riot. You know, they're rushing to meet Stephen Miller's stupid quota of 3,000 deportations a day, get them anywhere, and detract attention from the unpopular bill back in Washington that cuts Medicaid spending to help extend tax cuts for the rich. James, my mind dashes back to the histories I've read of the 1933 Reichstag fire, which Hitler used as a pretext for the Enabling Act, suspending civil liberties and ushering in the end of democracy for Nazi Germany. This is what authoritarians do. They create disorder, crisis, and claim they're the only ones that can deal with it, that can fix it. He's going to do the same thing to other cities. He's going to inflame tensions. He's going to send troops in unless the courts rise to the occasion and declare this is illegal. You know, your Marine Corps is trained to fight a foreign enemy, not to be used by a lawless politician to combat domestic protest. And I'll tell you, my greatest fear, at the risk of being seen as a conspiracy nut, is that a little over a year from now, Trump uses the same tactics, the Insurrection Act, the Alien Enemies Act, to foment chaos and claim the midterm elections have to be sidelined. I don't know that I'm predicting that'll happen, but does anyone think that Trump wouldn't do it if he thought he could get away with it?
Well, of course, everything you say is true. And I will mind over years and years of experience in watching things is trained to think within the confines of certain things. These people are in the confines of nothing. You understand? Nothing. And the guy that's kind of impressed me in this, and we've had him on the show before, and I want to get him back, is Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut, who correctly pointed out that, well, let's see, the big, beautiful bill is in terrible trouble. They've probably been told that they don't have near the votes in the Senate to pass anything close to what they want. Every day it sits out there. As it rots, it stinks more. And I will, in our outrage, I'll give further implications of what I think this is. But this is correct. This is a giant distraction movement. It has the added benefit of maybe the potential of having a race war. I would warn people, I live in New Orleans, Louisiana. In the initial skirmish of the race war, I'm not going to do very well. All right? But I mean, I do think that in the White House is telling journalists, I mean, you see this everywhere, thank God for Los Angeles. It took the heat away from us.
They gave high fives.
After we're high-fiving each other, because that's now out of the question. And the Sunday morning crowd is going to say that he's done a good job. He's shifted the dialogue. We're going to have a panel discussion on the Democrats' problems with male voters following this up. And now he's on the issue terrain that he wants to be on. I can hear this shit. You can hear it. It's already been talked about. It's going to be talked about more. And to that extent, this is working for him. This is working for him. We're not talking about all of the failures, and we're not talking about the fact that his trade policy has blown the world up. We're not talking that he's caved to China. We're not talking about the World Bank cutting the future growth rate, something like in half maybe. We're not talking about any of that where he's leading people around by their nose. And what he knows is how to distract us from the big manifest stuff that's at hand. And congratulations for Senator Murphy for speaking up what the real motivation is behind this, and that is that you don't pay attention to all the crappy things that he's trying to do, and the fact that he had done from day one, and the Ukraine war is going on more vigorously than it ever has. So we can agree on all that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the politics are unsettling. That's a reflection of the Biden administration's failures, I think, on border issues until the final months. Gavin Newsom, I also believe, gave a powerful rejoinder to Trump. And politics are bad right now. I think Trump may overplay his hand. He has a tendency to do that, particularly when he thinks he's riding high. But James, let me offer some good news amid all this, okay? New
Sure.
Jersey Democrats this week nominated Mikey Sherrill to be their candidate for governor this year. Mikey Sherrill, she's a Navy helicopter veteran. She was elected in 2018. She's a moderate, smart Democrat. Two gubernatorial races this year. The Democratic candidates are going to be Mikey Sherrill in New Jersey and Abigail Spanberger, a former CIA officer in Virginia. They really are the poster childs of 2018 when they won. They both beat Republican incumbents, and I think there'll be a lot of attention to those two races because that's the ball game. And boy, I think the Democrats have two really good candidates.
Well, okay, let's dig a little bit deep into the New Jersey election. And Maggie Sherrill and another congressman named John Gottheimer pretty much represented what I would call the sane left of center. And then there were the mayor of Newark and the mayor of another city, I think, Jersey City maybe, ran as the progressive candidates in a Democratic primary in New Jersey. Okay, the combined left of center vote was 10 points higher than the left of left vote. These people have very little power. We have to understand that. They're not even popular in the Democratic Party. So how are we going to take them to the next level? There was one other thing that I caught my fancy in New Jersey, and I think this is underappreciated. On the Republican side, I think it's Ciccarelli is his name.
Yeah, guy ran last time against Bill Murphy.
It ran last time. He came much closer than I anticipated. He was the de facto default nominee. He was endorsed by Trump. But tell you something interesting, Albert. He got 67%. That means that 1/3 of the New Jersey Republic, 1/3 that turned out to vote in that primary went against Trump. All right? If that's a warning sign, that means something. That's not an inconsequential number at all.
Yep.
And I'm almost sure, but I could stand corrected, that he didn't spend any money. He basically didn't raise any. And you're starting to see the other thing that was a special in the first congressional district of Florida. It's overwhelmed. It's Matt Gaetz' home district. They're underperformed by like 7 points, which is pretty consistent with everything that's happened in the country. So very good news. We got two really strong gubernatorial candidates. And this fits into what you and I have said for a long time. There's a bucket load of talent in the Democratic Party. Some of that talent is going to be on display in the gubernatorial races in New Jersey and Virginia. And we're just getting warmed up because these two outstanding public servants are going to win. I hope that they may win by a lot. I bet you that maybe Virginia will win by more than New Jersey. I don't know that. But and then right after that, we're going to go on. We're going to have good recruiting in 2026. What I'm telling Democrats is, if you put your ear to the ground, you can hear the cavalry coming, and it's coming. And we have some talented people. Believe me.
Boy, James, the first two candidates I covered in end of 2017, early 2018 were Mikey Sherrill and Spanberger. I was really impressed with Abigail Spanberger, and Mikey Sherrill knocked my socks off. Those were, as I said, this is the 2018 game book, and it was a pretty goddamn good game book.
It worked.
It worked.
It worked.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
we started trying to do something else. Okay, we went from Maggie Sherrill and Abigail Spanberger in that just stunningly talented class, and I think Reuben was in that class. I mean, it was probably Jason Crow is one of the most talented freshman class of congressional elected candidates in the history of the United States. And for idiotic reasons, we got jerked into this stupid identity garbage of which people rejected. But thank God, the Democratic Party is returning to its its roots and turning to the things that work for it, turning to things that people look to the Democratic Party for. And this, and you're right. I remember those two pieces you wrote. You were very high on both of these women. The, I acknowledge that should be acknowledged, but I'm telling you, people, the cavalry is on the way.
Yep.
It's on the way.
Yeah, and
spare not.
The concern of some is that Democrats sometimes come across as too weak and woke, as it's put. I'll tell you one thing: the former CIA agent Spanberger and the former Navy helicopter pilot, Naval Academy graduate Sherrill, they are not weak, and they are sure as hell not woke.
No.
So
and remember, in the Democratic primary in New Jersey, very important. I would tell my quote progressive unquote friends, you didn't do very well. Democrats don't much like you. So let's all get on the bandwagon and get behind these two candidates. And I don't want to devalue that 1/3 of Republicans didn't vote for the candidate they were supposed to.
Yeah. James, I just want one more footnote before we go, because the Trump administration is so corrupt that other ethical transgressions sometimes get overlooked. Mark Green, a Tennessee congressman, says he's resigning from Congress to take a very lucrative private sector job. But he's not going to resign until the reconciliation bill, the big, beautiful one, until that passes. And he won't tell us what job he's going to take. You don't think by any chance, James, that Green or his future employer could be affected by what's in that big, beautiful bill?
Oh, my goodness. Are you kidding me?
Oh,
I didn't understand. And the problem is this, Alvin, you know this. That's the 12th most interesting story out there.
Okay. And the 12th most unethical, right? Exactly.
Yeah, he's in maybe high single A ball, maybe. Yeah. Okay, that's about it.
James, I suspect that Mikey Sherrill and Abigail Spanberger will have better things to do on Saturday than attend this military parade, which is supposed to be a normal parade commemorating the 250th anniversary of the United States Army, which I think is highly desirable. Of course, Trump has turned it into an extravaganza that really is intended to celebrate his 79th birthday. It's the sort of thing you saw in North Korea. I just want to caution that I think that the resistance groups have been setting up all around the country as a counter, and I think very effectively. I have a small worry that somehow this gets mixed up with the anti-ICE demonstrations, because what the demonstrations want to do on Saturday is draw a contrast between the dictator in Washington trying to have a parade in his honor and people around the country peacefully protesting what's going on in America. If they can pull that off, I think actually it'll be effective and it will hurt Trump a little.
Also, there's a little counter scheduling going on, as we call it in the trade.
Yeah.
It seems that Pope Leo will be visiting his hometown of Chicago, and will have a mass. And this will contrast nicely with the whatever he's doing. I mean, and understand the outrage here. The United States Army is 250 years old. It is probably the most distinguished fighting force in modern world history. All right. I mean, like I could call the roll. You want to try George Washington? You want to try U.S. Grant? You want to try Dwight Eisenhower? You want to try Audie Murphy? You want to try Sergeant York? Okay. Colin Powell? You name it. The United States Army is probably the foremost fighting force in modern history. And of course, we're not going to be able, he has hijacked a celebration of, I was born on an Army post. I was out in California with the Unpanetta, went by Fort Ord, where my daddy was stationed when he was in the Army. And they have hijacked this. And the crime of it is that all the necessary honoring of the United States Army and remembering all of the great battles it fought, remembering all of the great things that it's done, is he's subjugating it to an ego demonstration for him. It's so disgraceful. It's so disrespectful of the Army, the people that served in it, the families of the people that have served in the Army, the people that are in cemeteries all over this country, about all over Europe, okay, that were in the United States Army. And this is a goddamn disgrace. And that's the most disgraceful thing. It's not, it's horrible that it's an ego thing for him. And it's horrible that they're going to cause $16 million of damage to the Washington Street. That's not the real disgrace. The real disgrace is we should have a chance where we honor all of the great things that all of the soldiers in history have done. And I got to look at this fat shit. So that's what really pisses me off.
James, are you referring to those soldiers that Trump has called suckers? Are those the same ones?
That's exactly the people I'm talking about. Yes. Yeah. Thank you for reminding me. And we know he said it because General Mattis told, or it was General Kelly, I'm sorry, told Jeffrey Goldberg. And we know that. It's been verified. It's not hearsay. It's not secondhand information. It's not any of that. That's what he said. And he wants to interject him's fat, stupid, unpatriotic self in the middle of a celebration of the greatest fighting force in the history of the modern world. I don't like it. You're right.